So good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for being with us today. This webinar was organized to open the discussion on fertilizer quality in Asia, looking at fertilizer analysis in laboratories and using fertilizer test kits in the field. The webinar was organized as part of the implementation strategy of the Asian Knowledge Hub on sustainable soil and land management in the region, and I'm briefly going to present you about this hub before giving the floor to the first speakers of today. So please give me just 1 second. I will share my screen. And introduce you to the hub. Okay, I hope you can see my screen. Okay. So as I said, this webinar is organized in the framework of the Asian Knowledge Hub on Sustainable Soil and Land Management developed by the FAO Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific. Why did the FAO office develop this hub? Well, for several objectives that you see on screen. First of all, the hub aims to facilitate the exchange of knowledge and experiences on sustainable soil and land management in the Asian region. Therefore, it also aims to enhance the capacity of individuals and organizations in implementing sustainable soil and land management practices, to facilitate the identification of knowledge and technology gaps that can boost the research and development activities, and to encourage the adoption of proven methods while inspiring innovation in sustainable soil and land management. Indeed, we really hope that by attending these webinars, you will learn a lot, but also you will get inspired so that you might feel like replicating and improving other countries' experience in your own country. And ultimately, through the hub, we would also like to support projects, formulation, and implementation activities. The hub is seen as a driver for positive change in agriculture and environmental practices, and it reports about countries' original engagements to assess, monitor, preserve, restore, or enhance soil health over time, as well as United Nations contributions. Indeed, today you will hear by several countries, but also from an international network developed and established under the framework of the FAO. The information in the hub were collected using a participatory approach that involved the public sector, non-profit sector, academic and research institutions, as well as intergovernmental organizations. However, its use and it's meant to support all types of stakeholders operating and dealing with soil and land resources. The hub is open access. It's meant to be a live tool. In this regard, if you feel like sharing your own office experience or country experience on tools development on the topic, please let me know. I will be happy to include your contribution in the hub. For your information, the online platform hosting the hub is currently under development, and I will share the link to it as soon as available. The information in the hub are currently organized into 5 categories, depending on their core scope. In this regard, we have tools addressing the scope 1 on soil assessment, monitoring, and mapping, as well as tools dealing with policy, investments, field activities, and ultimately communication. Today, we will operate under scope 1 on soil assessment, monitoring, and mapping, touching a bit also on scope 4, that is on field activities. Ultimately, this webinar aims to support countries on the development of reliable fertilizer test kits by closing the gap between fertilizer test kits and laboratories, but also to initiate the discussion on fertilizer test kits harmonization at the regional level, and ultimately to encourage critical thinking regarding the integration of fertilizer analysis in project formulation and execution. Now, to open the webinar, let's start by answering a core question. Why should we care about fertilizer quality? And to address this question, today we have with us Ms. Warshi Dandenia, professor in soil science at the Department of Soil Science, Faculty of Agriculture of University of Peradeniya in Sri Lanka. So, Ms. Dendaya, the floor is yours, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Lucretia, for the nice introduction. Let me start sharing my screen. I hope you all can see the screen.
Yes, we can see you.
Okay. Yeah, once again, thank you very much for inviting for this presentation, to this webinar to deliver a presentation on the importance of fertilizer analysis in decision making. I think as a country, Sri Lanka has a lot to share in this regards. Why is it important for us to make do fertilizer quality analysis? How is it affecting the important decision making? So let me begin this presentation briefly explaining you about the fertilizers. I think this audience who is attending the webinar today, we all know what a fertilizer is and what is expected. I just want to put this slide indicating the definition of a fertilizer to begin with, because we need to understand what a fertilizer is and what are we expecting by applying a fertilizer. We all know fertilizer is a material of natural or synthetic origin, and once applied to soil or to plant tissues, we are expecting this material would supply plant nutrients that improve the growth and productiveness of the plant directly or indirectly. Why I said directly or indirectly? Because biofertilizers are also part of fertilizers which carry microorganisms. Once we apply to the growth medium, the microorganisms will fix the nutrients, if they are nitrogen fixers, fix nutrients from the atmosphere and provide, or if they are phosphorus or potassium solubilizers, they will mobilize the unavailable forms of phosphorus and potassium in the soil and provide to plant, which we can consider as indirect supply of nutrients. So why knowing this definition is important? It's because we know in the market sometimes, especially when we consider the local products that are produced at small scales, some do not actually qualify as fertilizers, but people claim some materials as fertilizers and are selling. So that is why it's very important for us first to understand what is a fertilizer. Whether we apply it as a synthetic material or as a natural material or as a biofertilizer, once we apply it to the soil, it should release nutrients which the plant will uptake in the form of different ions. For example, no matter whether the nitrogen is coming as organic nitrogen or as urea molecules, the plant will uptake it ultimately as ammonium and nitrate mainly, little bit of urea. Okay, so it's important to understand this concept. So that is why we need to know how much of these elements present in a fertilizer, because we are applying the fertilizer with the aim of supplying these elements to the soil. So knowing this, the concentration of nutrients in the fertilizer is very important in some of the key decisions. So if we take a look at the sustainable use of fertilizers, the key decisions related to sustainable use of fertilizers are given here. In soil and plant nutrition, we know this as the 4R concept: the right source, supplied at right rate, right time at right place. So this 4R concept is important for the sustainable use of fertilizers. Simply, it means which kind we will be applying, at which rate, when to apply, and where to apply. Whether it is organic or whether it is inorganic form of a fertilizer, or whether it is applied to soil or to the plant foliar as a foliar application. In all these cases, we need to make these decisions, and for that, understanding the quality of the fertilizer is very, very important. Now, if we take a look at the fertilizer analysis in a given country, we know usually when we are importing the fertilizers or when we are exporting the fertilizers from a country, the rules and regulations and the analytical procedures, these are very very well documented, and the mechanism is on place. So whether it's synthetic or natural fertilizers, we have very well-defined criteria, and it's a very well-regulated process, sometimes abide by the international trade laws as well. Therefore, the fertilizers that we import and export, we know the quality. We do the inspection analysis at the port of exporting and at the port of importing or the port of entry. We do the analysis and we know what the standards has to be, the criteria, exact criteria that should be met, etc. However, if we look at our local market, the locally produced fertilizers, there's a gray area, especially if you look at the natural products. Why I'm saying that now in locally produced fertilizers as well, if you look at the synthetic fertilizer production or commercial scale synthetic fertilizers, it is comparatively well regulated and have good quality control measures, because when we are setting up a factory and doing it in large scale for synthetic fertilizers, there are certain regulations that each company must follow. However, the problem comes when it becomes natural products. There are many deficits in quality control. One reason is the scale of operation. Now, these natural products, this can come or this can be produced in farm field scale or at a village level, or like a community gardening concept at community level, or in large scale companies as well. However, the rules and regulations pertaining to these natural products are not very well established, at least in Asian countries. As far as I know, these are not very well defined. So what are these locally produced fertilizers? In this presentation, I'm going to focus more on these natural fertilizers, or the locally produced fertilizers produced from natural sources. Okay, so we know there's compost, poultry manure, and vermicompost. There are so many different fermented biomass products that are used as liquid fertilizers. In Sri Lanka during 2021, when we had the ban of agrochemical import to the country, including fertilizers, pesticides, farmers went without an option what to apply, because there was suddenly this ban on importing inorganic fertilizers, synthetic fertilizers. And in our country, if you look at our fertilizer usage, from the synthetic fertilizers, 99% of the fertilizers we are using are imported to the country. So when there was sudden import ban, there was a need of looking for alternative sources, and there were a lot of entrepreneurs and small-scale producers came forward with many different products. So compost was already there, but it is, as soil scientists, we don't consider compost as mainly a fertilizer, but it is a soil amendment. But in some literature, you can see it is referred to as a fertilizer. So in addition to this compost and poultry manure and cattle manure, like common animal manures, these fermented biomass products came to the market, which were like different tonics, fish tonic, fruit tonic, herbal extracts, etc., which can be applied as foliar applications. So many technologies developed at farm scale, like fermenting material and producing nutrient sources to apply to crops at different scales. These different products are mainly used in vegetable production, which happens at a small scale, not much in our rice cultivation, which happens at a large scale. Okay. So what happened when there is no regulation on quality control? So at the time, that is in 2021, when in Sri Lanka, we suddenly had this import ban, there was no proper regulations in place regarding quality control of fertilizers. We only had standards developed for compost. There were no other national standards developed for the other types of organic fertilizers in the country. And also, there was no proper mechanism to monitor the production process, etc. So as you can see in this cartoon, this is how the morning newspaper in 2021 showed what happened in the fertilizer, what happened with the fertilizer ban in the country. This is a cartoon published in the morning newspaper. Okay, as you can see, so many different products came to the market. Sometimes those are synthetic fertilizer-based products, just putting up the organic label. Okay, so when there's no regulation on quality control, it leads to many mishaps. For example, there can be inferior quality products flooding the market. There are products misleading the farmers. Especially, this was a threat to the organic farmers who have established organic farming practices, obtaining certification after working for 5 to 10 years to get the certification. So there were a lot of products in the market claiming organic products. There was no way of testing, no way of confirming whether they are really organic products. So the organic farmers were also threatened because of these misleading products in the market. And also, there's a poor return on investment to the farmers because the farmers spend a lot of money for like in buying these products, but they don't get the required benefits because sometimes these products did not have the required levels of nutrients. Okay? And another issue is contamination of agricultural fields due to inferior quality of the products, leading to the nutrient imbalances in the fields, pollution of soil with toxic trace elements, organic pollutants, microplastics, antibiotics, etc. And as well as there were health concerns among the users, especially farmers who use some of the fermented products complain skin irritation, eye irritation, etc. Now, this is one example of the liquid organic fertilizers distributed at the time, 2021 to 2022. Like there were a lot of products coming into the market, but you can see the storage quality was very poor. So these cans were like bulged and then rust because of the continuation of anaerobic biological activity, creating a lot of gases. Okay. So these type of products are not safe to use and of inferior quality. And when you give a product to the farmer, and if the farmers experience something like this once, they don't, it is very difficult for us to introduce another product to them because they will not perceive our interventions positively when they experience such inferior products. Here's another example of the so-called fertilizer or the nutrient substitutes that came to replace the synthetic fertilizers at that time. And there's another issue that came. I mentioned this as misleading products. Now, in these bags, the labeling is done in our local language, Sinhala. I know there are 3-4 members in the audience I have seen from Sri Lanka, so they understand what's in these bags. For the benefit of others, I translated the information into English here. What these fertilizer bags claim that these fertilizers can be used for any crop at any given stage. Okay, any crop, any stage. But if you look at the content, you can see it indicates silicon dioxide, calcium oxide, magnesium oxide. Okay, so these 2 products, one is called Calcimag, the other one is Sri Maxical. So these are like misleading products. At the time, there was no proper fertilizer or fertilizer quality control process in the local market. These type of things were packed and sold to the farmers. Okay, so basically they just mix dolomite with sand or dolomite with paddy husk, which contain high levels of silicon, and then sold to the farmers. Here's another misleading product. I have indicated within the box here with an arrow. You can see how the label is written. This is the product is a hybrid coconut fertilizer and sold through social media platforms and also through close contacts. And this product, the supplier say, there's phosphate, sodium chloride, calcium carbonate, magnesium carbonate, and below the sodium chloride, he just put a word like the letter N. So because the farmers know in previous instances, when we are selling fertilizer mixtures, we indicate NPK ratio. But this producer, they just put NPK, but N below the sodium chloride. So the farmer doesn't know whether it is from the nitrogen or whether it is nitrogen, whether it's the letter N taken out of sodium chloride. So these are kind of misleading ways, taking advantage of unawareness of farmers to get profits during a short period. These type of inferior products flooded the market during 2021 to 2022 period in Sri Lanka, and there were a lot of complaints in the fertilizer secretariat. There were a lot of investigations. However, the damage was done because these bags are sold for like nearly 8,000, 10,000 rupees per 50 kg bag, and just had rock phosphate, some salt and dolomite mixed, sometimes little bit of cattle manure. So not good nutrient sources for the crops. In addition, there's a lot of issues when it comes to compost, especially if it is made out of municipal solid waste. So poor quality compost was another problem. It is still another problem in our market because we have very less facilities to analyze the quality. Okay, so this is an example of a fertilizer sample I purchased at that time. I got this from one of the large scale producers, but when I got it and I sieved it myself, and I found this type of material present in the compost bag that was sold. Okay, so this container, as you can see, the pericarps of fruits, textile materials, wires, polythene, and leather. So these things will release a lot of pollutants, a lot of contaminants to the compost. Now, if I get this as a sieved product, then I wouldn't even notice that the original source material contained these type of materials which shouldn't be there or which are not supposed to be there in the compost source material. So we did recently we did a study on microplastics in compost produced in the country at different scales. You can see my student, Mr. Mahesh Ranasinghe, doing the analysis. So we collected compost samples from different scales of production, from small scale to medium scale to large scale producers. And we targeted the groups who are using municipal solid waste and also agricultural waste for producing compost. And we observed the municipal solid waste contain more microplastics than the agricultural waste compost. And here's another contaminant which people pay less attention to, that is antibiotics. So we looked at the antibiotic-resistant bacteria as an indication of antibiotic-resistant determinants in the poultry manure applied soils. Like here in this study, CF indicate the chemical fertilizers, PL stands for poultry litter. So we applied the poultry litter and chemical fertilizers, and also PLB indicated the poultry litter biochar. And as you can see in the red color box, the application of poultry litter has significantly increased the tetracycline resistant and amoxicillin resistant bacteria populations in the soil. So this has been this is a confirmation of our previous observation, where poultry litter or the poultry manure contain antibiotic-resistant bacteria and antibiotic residues. So when we apply these to soil, there's a chance the antibiotic-resistant microbial community will also increase. So here's another example of contamination of the field with the improper use of fertilizer. This is a field where people have applied a lot of compost during the period where there was no fertilizers, synthetic fertilizers available in the market. So when we analyze the soil samples, we could see a lot of nutrient imbalances. Leading to this crop failure in this particular field. So these type of issues can be identified when there's no proper quality control in the fertilizers produced locally. So what are the challenges for quality control? I have listed a few. You can have a good discussion on this during this webinar. So one challenge is the small scale of production. Therefore, there's large number of producers. So in Sri Lanka, like if we want to get quality assessed, we have to supply the material to the labs. But if you have like large number of producers, it's very difficult to deal with these large numbers. And also because of high spatial and temporal variability in the source material, the consistency also a problem. Okay, the quality of the compost or the liquid fertilizer or other sort of organic fertilizer produced today is not going to be the same in the next batch. So this high spatial and temporal variability is another challenge. So if we give a certification to a producer, we have to keep on monitoring. Is the quality remain consistent? Okay? And lack of trained personnel for doing sampling and conducting analysis is another challenge. And long lead time to generate reports is another challenge because there's very limited number of laboratories available, but large number of producers. Therefore, in this webinar, I have seen that the Lucretia is going to discuss about some toolkits, which I think will become very handy to analyze the fertilizers in a very short period, at least to get some idea about nutrient levels. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any question if you have. Thank you.
Many thanks, Ms. Landenia, for your presentation. Every time I listen to it, I love it. So many thanks for accepting to be with us today. I think it was very useful. Unfortunately, because of time's sake, I cannot give the floor to participants to interact with you now, but I would like to ask them to please ask you any question or share their opinion and experience on the topic through the question and answer control that they have on Zoom. So can I ask you to please keep an eye on it? And now I will pass the floor to the next speaker, and eventually after the intervention of Vinisa, we can also take some live question. So thank you very much again. And now I would like to give the floor to the next speaker, that is Ms. Vinisa Sánchez Santillas from the Global Soil Partnership Secretariat of FAO. She will introduce us to the International Network on Soil Fertility and Fertilizer in Soilfare, with the focus on its work on the topic in terms of methods of fertilizer analysis, data quality assurance, capacity building, and regulatory framework on fertilizer qualities. Vinisa, thanks for being with us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Lucrezia. Let me share my screen. Can you see it well? Yes. I hope so. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much for the invitation to the organizers, to Lucrezia. It has been, we have just seen a very lovely, useful, and very connected to reality presentation from my colleague that preceded me. So I am very impressed. So very good presentation, and I am very glad to be here. So I am Vinisa Sainz Santillan from the Global Soil Partnership from the FAO, and I would like to share with you some information about the international network on soil fertility and fertilizers that has been very recently launched in Soil Fair. So first, because probably many of you don't know what the Global Soil Partnership is, I just want to say very fast that it's a mechanism, it's important mechanism established back in 2012 in order to do something very simple, is positioning soils on the global agenda and promoting sustainable soil management. Also, we are promoting and we want to ensure productive soils for food security, climate change adaptation, and mitigation and sustainable development. So the Global Soil Partnership combats different problems on different soil threats from different perspectives, like the ones you have here, from the perspective of communication and outreach, soil biodiversity, soil fertility, erosion, contamination, and many other different aspects. And then the Global Soil Partnership also has launched different networks to combat these problems. Probably many of you already know GLOSOLAN, which is the Global Soil Laboratory Network. Then from GLOSOLAN and to address a request from many members of GLOSOLAN, the International Network on Soil on Fertilizer Analysis was born back in 2020. And then it became very recently in Soil Fair, the International Network on Soil Fertility and Fertilizers. So we have in the Global Soil Partnership different other networks. So it was established in December 2020, and it supports the implementation of the International Code of Conduct for the Sustainable Use and Management of Fertilizers, more simply known as the Fertilizer Code, and of course the Sustainable Development Goals. And it currently operates in more than 185 countries. In more than 88 countries, we have more than 185 laboratories analyzing or interested in analyzing the quality of fertilizers. So because probably this could be confusing, I just wanted to make clear, because maybe we have INFA members here. I invited them to the webinar. So INFA, from this moment on, it will not be known as INFA, but more as InSoilFair, because InSoilFair is now a wider network which aims at the adoption and the implementation of sustainable and balanced soil fertility management, avoiding the underuse, misuse, and overuse of fertilizers, and also reducing the environmental and health impacts of the fertilizer use. And we also want to evaluate and improve the safety and the quality of fertilizers. So InSoilFair has integrated the already existing INFA laboratories in the different countries. So InSoilFair has different working groups. So far, it's 3 working groups, and the working group addressing fertilizer safety and quality assessment is a working group number 3. So having said that, I would like to share with you the different countries and that are the different regions that take part of the network. So in Asia, accounts for approximately 18 of the laboratories that have joined InSoilFair so far. So what is InSoilFair doing? We are currently more focused on the harmonization of methodologies for fertilizer analysis. So we have 3 main objectives in the network. The first one is the harmonization and the standardization of the different methodologies for assessing the quality of different types of fertilizers. So far, we are working more closely with inorganic fertilizers. So we are working now on the harmonization of the total content of nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus in inorganic fertilizers. However, we also want to start working with organic fertilizers, mainly because we have been noticed that the methodologies are different only in the part of the sample preparation, but then the rest of the methodology is very similar if you are analyzing organic or inorganic fertilizers. So after this is the complete list of the standard operating protocols or SOPs that we are working on. We are almost finished. We have almost finished the harmonization of the standard operating protocol for the analysis of total nitrogen in inorganic fertilizers by the Sheldal methodology. And we will be working now also on the nitrogen combustion by the combustion method and the total phosphorus by the acid digestion. So we hope that by the end of this year, we can publish the total nitrogen, the methodology of for analyzing total nitrogen by the Sheldal methodology. As I also told you in the first slides, the Global Soil Partnership has different networks, also Glossoland and the International Network on Soil Pollution. So we are working together in order to harmonize the different methodologies, in this case, including also the methodologies for analyzing heavy metals in inorganic fertilizers, mainly in phosphate mineral fertilizers, because as probably you know, it is possible that depending on the phosphate rocks that we have, we have the possibility to have heavy metals present in these rocks. So we are currently analyzing and standardizing the methodology for the analysis of heavy metals in collaboration with Glossoland and with INSOP. Currently, 69 laboratories are working together from 49 countries to harmonize the methodologies, the equipment that are being used for this methodology. And we have a panel of experts working together on this standard operating protocol. Also, another objective that the network has is the capacity development. Why? Because we need to address the quality control issue. As my colleague before me, she already explained a little bit about this, but we have different methods for recovering elements from fertilizers, which produce highly variable results for the same sample, making the comparisons very difficult. So we have different fractions, soluble fractions, total fractions. We have different aspects that can be improved or standardized in technical performances. We have different sources of fertilizers, also different forms, liquid, solid, we have powder. We have now organic sources, different organic sources that are very variable. We have a very different concentration and extraction methods. So we obviously need to work on these aspects. And INFA is also, sorry, I'm still calling it INFA. The working group 3 is working in this aspect in the case of laboratory sample preparation, quality control, and we would like to produce some good practices guidelines for improving quality control in the laboratories. Also, after we are done and finished with the publication of the standard operating protocols for the NPK, we want to launch our first global proficiency test in the next year. So here I would like to show you some results of different questionnaires that the members of the network have been answering, just to provide some context on the type of work that we want to address. For example, here we asked the network to select the different quality methods that they are using in their laboratory. So these are some of the methods: sample replication, blind sampling, internal controls, certified reference materials, proficiency testing, or different detection limits. So this is an opportunity area that we want to be working on. And also we asked the network the different requirements for the competence testing and calibration laboratories and accreditation. And 65% of the network says they do not have this type of protocols in their laboratory, and only 35 have. So we here have an opportunity area to work and standardize all these. Also, we asked them if their laboratory use different strategies for quality control, and still it's half and a half, so we need to obviously work on this. Also, this is very important if the laboratories are currently working in a proficiency or intercomparison test, and many of them are not working on that or do not participate. So obviously the working group 3 of InSoilFair is very interested in helping the laboratories to achieve this goal. And finally, the third aspect that the network is working on is the policies and regulations. This is a very difficult and complex subject that the network is addressing, also because in the different countries, of course, there are different regulations. So one of the main aspects that we are working on now is in gathering the information of imports and exports, which are the rules in the different countries, because also we need this information. We will need it for next year if we want to run the proficiency test. So our idea is to compile a database to gather the information of the import and the export in the different countries, at least in the ones that are going to participate in the proficiency test. And this is what I wanted to share with you. Lucrecia, it's a very simple, fast presentation, but I would like to also get involved with the participants, and we are very interested in the presentation also of the fertilizer testing kits, because we are interested not only working in the laboratory aspects, but we believe that farmers, which are the ones that are in direct contact and which who are the very first contact with fertilizers, need to have more elements to start assessing quality basically from the field. This is before laboratory. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Vinisa, for your presentation, and indeed it's a pleasure to support also the work of InSoilFair and former INFAM.
Yes.
Definitely today we will pay attention to fertilizer test kits as well, with the presentation from Indonesia. But many countries have actually kits to assess the quality of fertilizer. So today we are just scratching the surface, but my hope through this webinar is therefore to trigger action in the region, and also have some maybe bilateral meeting with countries or even at the regional level. Another thing that we were aiming to discuss today at this webinar, actually tomorrow, because this was meant to be a 2 days webinar, was also local fertilizer productions in details, looking at effective microorganisms and other types of locally produced fertilizer. Unfortunately, we had to split this webinar in two, so that the second part of it, the one that I just mentioned about on effective microorganisms, for example, and biofertilizer, will be discussed a bit later on in November. And I hope that you will still be with us, because that can again link very much to the work that you are doing at the Global Soil Partnership. Now, I see there are quite some questions in the question and answer box. Thanks a lot, Warshi. You have been so active in answering them already. Vinisa, I kindly ask you to please have a look at them as well, because I see that some of the questions are addressed to you. And participants, please feel free to ask more questions. You can also raise your hand and I will find the time to give you the floor. The more active you are, the better the discussion will be. So thanks again, Vinisa. I'm now giving the floor to the next speaker because we will still be in the theme of laboratories, fertilizer laboratories. And the next speaker is from Iran. It's Mr. Karim Shahbazi, head of the Laboratory Research Department and member of the Scientific Board at the Soil and Water Research Institute of the Ministry of Agriculture, Jahad, in Iran. So Mr. Shahbazi today will talk to us about the Soil and Fertilizer Assessment Laboratory. Dr. Shahbazi, the floor is yours. Please feel free to share your screen. We cannot hear or see you yet. No, we cannot hear you. Maybe my suggestion is that we pass to the next speaker, and then we go back to you, Mr. Shahbazi, so you have the time to fix the audio setting. So, well, ideally we would have continued with the topic of laboratories, but let's jump to fertilizer test kits and hear from Indonesia about it. Today we have Dr. Ladiyani Retno Widowati, Director of the Indonesian Institute of Soil and Fertilizer Standardization. Dr. Ladiyani, are you with us? I know that you might have an alternate to talk on your behalf. I know that your alternate might be Pak Ibrahim or Ibu Linka.
Dear Lucrecia, sorry, this is Ladiani. I'm sorry, I am not open cam because I'm not in the auditorium attending the invitation of the Minister of Agriculture. So I'm sorry, I could not join directly to present my PowerPoint. And Ibu Linca and Pak Ibrahim will replace me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Indeed, that's what I had noted. Linka and Ibrahim, you are allowed to talk if you would like to share your screen and provide the presentation. Hello, Linka, we hear you with a lot of echo. Maybe you are listening to us from multiple devices with the microphones on. So maybe you have to shut down one microphone.
Okay.
Yeah, now it sounds better.
Hello, Lucrecia.
Yes, hello.
Okay. Maybe the first time for the first, because we have two presentation. The first I will deliver it to my colleague Lely. She will present for the chemical fertilizer test kit, and then I will continue to the organic fertilizer test kit.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Please proceed.
I should share the PPT?
Yes.
Okay. Lucrecia, but we cannot share the video because there is no. Halo, Lucrecia? Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, but you are denying my promotion to you as panelist. You have to accept it, otherwise you cannot present. Apologies, everybody. You know, like this is one of the downside of implementing things online. Technical issues, but we are getting there. Apologies for the waiting. Yes, we can see the presentation. You have to put it in presentation mode, please. Perfect. Thanks.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kelly. I would like to share about Indonesia Fertilizer Test Kit. I'm on the behalf of Dr. Ladiani from Indonesia Soil and Fertilizer Standard Institute. Introduction. Fertilizer is a very important production factor. There are three types basic fertilizer: nitrogen, phosphate, and potassium. The price of fertilizer increased by the time, attract irresponsible entrepreneur fertilizer to produce a low fertilizer quality or fake fertilizer. Fertilizer label doesn't match to the content. We need tools to quickly determine nutrient content in fertilizer qualitatively. PUP is a tool for fertilizer chemical analysis that can be done quickly, easily, relatively accurate, and simply. PUP can be used to determine NPK content quantitatively. It's launched in 2009. The user are fertilizer inspector, extension worker, fertilizer kiosk owner, and farmer. The component of the test kit are extractant, equipment, and color chart. Here are the PUP distribution between 2009 until 2023. It has been distributed 2,314 units. The highest PUP distribution all over Indonesia is on 2019. It's 424 units has been distributed. PUP user mostly extension agriculture, provincial agencies, and government. Here are the percentage distribution of PUP in Indonesia between 2015 until 2023. And then fertilizer sampling, distribution or transportation. If amount of fertilizer more than 100 sacks, taken as the square root of the number of sacks, sample are taken from selected representative sack. If the amount of fertilizer is 10 until 100 sacks, 10 sample are taken from the 10 selected sacks. If amount of fertilizer less than 10 sacks, taken from all sacks or at least one sample per pack. The second one, fertilizer kiosk for fast detection of fake fertilizer. Types of P and K fertilizer. The left one is fake fertilizer, and the right one is real fertilizer. Sample preparation. The sample were mixed evenly. Around 0.5 kilogram was taken as a representative sample. Fertilizer sample are put in plastic bags and labeled. Take approximately 10 gram of a representative sample, grind it with a mortar. Fine sample were analyzed with PUP or test kit. Nitrogen measurement. Here are the steps for nitrogen measurement. The first step is 10.25 gram of fertilizer put in a centrifuge tube at 2.5 ml of reagent N1. The second one, let's stand 10 minutes, add water until the volume 50 ml, and then shake until homogeneous. The third one, type of urea fertilizer into the test tube at 0.5 ml of clear extract. If other fertilizer into a test tube at 1 ml of clear extract. Add 4.5 ml of water, shake, add 1 ml of N2 reagent. Add 1 ml N3 with a dropper, add 0.05 gram N4 and shake. Leave for 20 until 30 minutes, shaking 3 until 4 times. If there are no bubbles or it is clear, add 1 ml of N5 with a dropper. Colors are matched to the color chart. Here are the N color chart. And then phosphate measurement. Phosphate measurement step, the first one is put 0.25 gram of fine fertilizer sample into a centrifuge tube, and then add 5 ml of P1 reagent to a volume of 5 ml. Shake until dissolved. If there is CO2 gas, leave it until the bubbles are gone. Add water to 50 ml. Beat until homogeneous, leave until clear or filtered. And then in a tube, test tube volume 50 ml, mix 5 ml reagent P2 and 5 ml P3, beat until homogeneous. Add 0.5 ml of clear extract to the mixture P2 and P3, cover and shake until homogeneous. And then after 2 until 5 minutes compare the resulting color with P color chart. For fertilizer containing more than 40%, P2O5 is diluted 2 times. Here are the color chart for phosphor. And then the third one is potassium measurement. The first one, put 2.5 gram of fertilizer into a centrifuge tube, and then add reagent K1 to a volume of 7.5 ml. Shake until all the fertilizer is dissolved. Add water until the volume becomes 50 ml. Shake until homogeneous. Wait for the solution become clear or filter. And then into the test tube, add 3 ml of K2, add the sample extract drop by drop. And then the number of drop add is count until a white precipitate is produced. For K2 content, number of drops to produce a white precipitate, then check with the label. Here are the category for potassium measurement. If the fertilizer original with 3 drops of fertilizer extractant will appear the white precipitate. And then this is the link complete our procedure in YouTube. The conclusion, fertilizer is the main component in cultivation. Quality assurance of fertilizer is very necessary. PUP as an alternative qualitative rapid test. PUP has been launched since 2005 and adopt with a total of more than 200 units. This is the end of our presentation, and we'll continue with Wulincha. Ya, enggak. Ya.
Thank you very much to Linka and Gria. Lucre, should I present the next presentation in the agenda? The item says that there will
no,
be
I think,
presenting an organic fertilizer kit, or we launch the
I think
question.
Linka has a presentation, right, Linka?
Yes.
Yes, yes. We still have one presentation. Can I
Yes.
continue? Okay,
Please,
thank you.
please, yes.
Okay, thank you, Finisha.
Dari dia minta share screen. Ya itu. Oke. Ya. Itu bergeser aja. Oke.
Okay, I will continue the organic fertilizer test kit, or in Indonesia we call a PUPO. This is the outline of my presentation: introduction, description of organic fertilizer test kit, the benefit of PUPO, overview of procedure for using PUPO, and then sampling of organic fertilizer, PUPO level of accuracy, and PUPO capacity. The condition of carbon organic content in Indonesia low, less than 2%. The organic fertilizer market has expanded since the reduction in fertilizer subsidies. So there are many alternative fertilizer, including organic fertilizer. Rapid organic fertilizer testing equipment is needed in the field. So this is the organic fertilizer test kit to determine the organic fertilizer nutrient level quickly in the field. The parameter that we can determine if we want to use this test kit, we can measure the pH, carbon organic, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and iron total. Inside in the bag, there is one set of organic fertilizer extracting kit, color chart, supporting kit, and guidebook. The benefit of PUPO can help a farmer organic fertilizer marker test the quality, but this is a semi-quantitative of organic fertilizer. PUPO can be used also for by fertilizer inspector to supervise and monitor the quality of organic fertilizer on the market. The principle of PUPO is to measure pH, carbon organic, nitrogen, phosphorus, and iron level based on coloring. And meanwhile, for the potassium level based on the precipitate formation. If all of you want to see a detail of how to use PUPO, we also have the video link. And we continue to the carbon organic determination. 1.5 gram of organic fertilizer we put inside the tube, and then we add with 5 ml of C1, the reagent C1, and then we shake, and then we leave 5 minutes, and then we add with 1 ml of reagent C2, and we shake, and then we leave 10 minutes, and then we transfer, we pipette 1 milli and then we add with water, and then we can check by using the organic color chart. And then for determination of pH, the same 0.5 gram of organic fertilizer we put inside the filter paper, and then we put again in the tube and then we add with 5 ml of pH 1. We shake and then leave 2 minutes, and then we add 1 drop of pH 2, and then leave for around 15 minutes, and we can check it using the pH color chart. For determination of nitrogen, the same 0.5 of organic fertilizer, and we add with 5 milli of N1 and filter with filter paper, and then the filtrate we pipette 1 ml, and then we transfer to another tube, and we add with 1 ml reagent N2, shake and leave 5 minutes, and then add with 1 ml N3, and then we add a few of N4, and then add with 1 ml N5. We shake and then leave 5 minutes, and then we can check it with the nitrogen coloring. And then for determination of phosphorus, 0.5 gram of organic fertilizer, we add with 10 milli of P1, shake, filter with filter paper, and then we pipette 1 milli of filtrate, and we add with 10 milli of water. Then we transfer 1 milli of filtrate to another tube, and then we add with 1 milli of P2, and then add with a few of P3, and then we leave around 10 or 15 minutes, and we can check it using the color phosphorus color chart. For determination of potassium, the same 0.5 gram of organic fertilizer, and add with 5 milli of K1, filter with filter paper, and then pipette 1 milli of filtrate, and add with 1 milli of K2, and then add with 1 until 2 drop of K3. We can see here in the picture, in the left side, if the fertilizer has a low concentration of potassium, and then in the right side, a high concentration of potassium with the white precipitate. For determination of iron level, 0.5 gram of organic fertilizer, add with 5 ml of iron 1, filter with filter paper, and then pipette 1 milli of filtrate, add with 1 milli of iron 2, shake and leave 5 minutes, and then add with 1 milli of iron 3, and add with 1 milli of iron 4, shake and leave 5 minutes, and then we can compare the color with iron color chart. For sampling of organic fertilizer, for the granule organic fertilizer, sac containing fertilizer are placed horizontally, and then insert the sampling tool diagonal from corner to the corner in front of it, and position the slit in the tool facing downward. And turn the tool halfway and pull gently. Place the fertilizer sample in the plastic bag. Sampling of composite fertilizer. Fertilizer sample are taken randomly to obtain a composite sample with following condition. If the amount of fertilizer is more than 10 bags, 10 sacks of fertilizer are randomly selected, and a sample is taken from each sack. If quantity of fertilizer is less than 10 bags, 10 samples are taken, or at least 1 sample per sack. The samples were mixed evenly at N at 0.5 gram was taken as representative sample. Fertilizer sample are put into plastic bag and we give the label. This is for the grinding fertilizer sample. A sample of organic fertilizer taken approximately 10 gram as representative sample crushed with mortar. The fine sample is analyzed with pupo. For one pupo package can be used to analyze around 50 fertilizer sample. The expiration date of chemical in pupo is around 1 until 1.5 years. This is the distribution of the pupo in Indonesia. And this is in the graph, we can see that the unit distributed since 2015 until 2023, the highest distributed was in 2021, around 259 unit. I think that's all, Lucrecia, that I can share for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Link. I think you have given us very interesting information that obviously has raised a lot of attention and interest from the audience. So I think after your presentation, there is a lot to discuss. The big question here is that if we can harmonize the fertilizer testing kits at the regional level. And for that, we need to take in consideration many different aspects that the participants have already started to express in the question and answer box. For example, they are talking about the different forms of fertilizers, the error associated to the different analyses that are considered in the test, in the kits, what is the correlation between the labs and the kits, and also about the cost, etc. I think there is a lot to talk about here. So perhaps if we allow the participants to express themselves, there are very interesting questions in the chat. So if you agree, Dr. Linka, we can ask some questions that are in the Q&A box. For example, from Dr. Subanang, do you study about the comparable between the kit and the lab test? So I don't know if you want to elaborate more the question, Dogmani, or we just let Dr. Linka to answer. Dr. Linka, we cannot hear you. Perhaps your microphone
Sorry.
is off. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for the question. We compare the analysis with the test kit with the analysis in the laboratory, of course, and then we make it the correlation. It's around more than 80 sample for the fertilizer.
Thank you very much. Thank you. No, thank you for your answer. Perhaps if the participants would like to ask these questions directly, please raise your hand, or I could also ask the questions from the box.
Excuse me, Vanessa. I'm Ladiani. I'll try to add the answer. I'll try to add the answer the question. Yeah.
Please.
The first one related with the correlation between analysis result in the lab and using the kit. The correlation above 80%, the closeness. And then the form what we are measure, the question from Prof. Nopmani, the N except N organic is measured using the extraction that test kit, especially for the anorganic test kit. And then what is the next question? I forget. Yeah, the user who adopt this test kit always have a contact with us about how to use it and what is the problem and so on. At least based on the input or the response from them, we always improve our test kit. And you can see from years to years the adoption of the innovation still going on. So it's mean we can use this test kit for to help the farmer, yeah, especially farmer, to detect it is low concentration or low content of nutrient or no. The first one, that if it is questionable for the concentration, and then can be bring to laboratory to analyze to make clear how much the concentration in value like that. And also for the PUP and PUPO, for example, the farmer or extension worker curious about a certain mark or a certain kind of fertilizer in the kiosk, they can buy 4 kg first, for example, and test it using the kit. And if it is not good result, can inform to the farmer or other user not buy that fertilizer or not buy a certain marks, something like that. So this is a preventive action to protect the farmer to lose their product, their activity in agriculture. Okay, I hope I already answered all of the question.
Indeed, Dr. Ladiani, very yes, of course. Thank you for your answer. Then there are many different aspects that are the participants are expressing in the question and
sorry.
answer chat.
There is a question I'm not answered yet, yeah, Bolincha also. Related with the price, yeah, the price.
Exactly, yeah, that is something
yeah.
they are questioning, yes.
Yeah.
For example, the price. Yes, is it feasible? What do you think about that?
Yeah, the comparison between analysis price in the lab and using the kit is 1 is 4, for example. For example, one analysis of nitrogen is about in rupiah, yeah. In rupiah is about 25,000 rupiah is €2 ya, Bu Linca ya, $2, €2, 25.000. Yeah. When we are using the test kit, but if we analysis in the lab, berapa, Bu Linca? How much for the nitrogen? So about 100, yeah, 75,000 to 100,000, yeah. One sample. Yeah. Yeah, the ratio is 1:3 to 4, something like that. So because the rate, the price or the rate analysis in our laboratory is much cheaper compared to private laboratory and other university, because we use a standard price is produced by the Ministry of not Ministry of Agriculture, sorry, Ministry of Ministry, something like that. So that's why even our even the price of analysis in the lab is low, but if we compare to using the kit is again much advantageous for the price and also the fastness. Yeah, the farmer can measure directly, not bring the sample to the lab and awaiting the result and so on. At least to detect fast by them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are other interesting questions in the chat. For example, if we talk about capacity development, do you provide any training to the users, or how do you envision that the kit is used?
Yes. This can be through the Ministry of Agriculture or directly the group of farmer invite us, or we active to have a online workshop, something like that. So we try to reach to touch them through any way. So also we can they can watch through YouTube how to use it. So after seller, because not us who sell the test kit, co-op, cooperation, we how call it co-op, who have the license of this product. So we guarantee the quality of the skis through quality control, and also we accompany for after seller, how to use it, how to handle it, and how is the recommendation and so on. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your answer. Because of the time, I know there is a lot to talk about and to discuss, but I think the challenging question here is the following. Can the fertilizer testing kits be harmonized at the regional level? And for that, we ask you to vote simply yes or no. So you can vote in your screen. You are seeing the poll. Please vote now so we can have your answer expressed in the poll. So please vote now.
Thanks, Venisa. Indeed, as anticipated, today we heard about the experience of Indonesia in the development of this type of kits, but many other countries might have the same. So it would be interesting to explore, as you said, the possibility to harmonize these kits in the region. Please vote as we will close the poll soon.
Yeah. I tried to vote, but I could not. It cannot work.
Sorry, panelists cannot.
Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, I'm closing the poll because we reached majority, and I'm sharing the results with you all. So now panelists are free to intervene to share their opinion and maybe make also a statement on how we can reach this harmonization, if you are in favor of it, or why a fertilizer test kit cannot be harmonized, in your opinion. Please feel free to take the floor, especially the panelists at first, but then we can also give the floor to participants to make their statements. So as you can see, the majority stated that yes, it's possible to harmonize the kits at the regional level. We take these results as a request maybe also for action, so that maybe FAO can start looking into this direction and develop maybe a regionally harmonized fertilizer test kits to propose to countries for use. I would like actually to ask those that said no that this is not possible, to tell us maybe why, what are the challenges that we will face? I don't want to break the secrecy of the vote, but it would be interesting to have this feedback, if possible. As stated in the chat, maybe we would like to hear also the idea of the panelists. So, Ms. Ladiani, since you wanted to vote, what is your opinion on this? Silence. This was really a challenging question. What about Warshi? Or Karim? Karim, what is your opinion on the topic? So we test your audio before giving you the floor.
Sorry, hello. I faced a big problem for sharing, and I lost the topic because I am attempt to share my screen, and I am now changing the system from system to another system. I lost your topic. If you check your email, I sent you my presentation. If you share the presentation, I can present it and I can talk about your topics in our presentation. Could you please check your emails and
Yes, I have your presentation and I will share it with everybody, so you can just talk and I will do the screen sharing. But let me ask you the question. It's not related, let's say, to the presentations that we had.
Would you please repeat your question?
Yeah, what do you think about getting to a regional harmonization of the fertilizer test kits developed by countries? Is it possible to harmonize these kits?
It is very difficult using kits for the fertilizer, because we have to produce very exact results for fertilizer. In some cases, it is possible. We're trying to make a test kits for fertilizer. It is very useful, especially for farmers, because analyzing in laboratory is very expensive and it is time consuming. So if it make a test kits, it's helped especially the farmers to know the label is matched, the claim is matched the fertilizer quality or not. But it's, I think we should share our experience in developing test kits, because until now we don't have very successful kits for the test kit because of some problems. Just for some parameters we have kits, but mainly the fertilizer have many problems. Many parameters that we can use the test kit. We should work together to develop these test kits. We have done some project to developing some test kits, but it's not successful yet. Yeah. But it's necessary, I think, especially for farmers, because it is very quick and low cost test analysis. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Karim. Let me pass the floor to Warshi that raised her hand to hear her opinion.
Yes, thank you, Lucretia. I think when it comes to test kits, we are very familiar with soil test kits for nutrient analysis. This has been in the market for quite some time, but the only problem that we faced when we are trying to use soil test kits is like sometimes we have to calibrate these things again to the local conditions. So because of very high diversity and variability in soils. However, when it comes to fertilizers, I think this is doable. Of course, as Dr. Karim mentioned, it may be a bit difficult and challenging, but I think it is something that we can do. Fertilizer test kits for for the regional level. I think it will be very useful as well, because in certain places, the production of the test kit may not be something easy for that country, particular country. But if we have the regional kits, then it's easy. And since we are talking about the material, the variability is not very high as in soils in the region. So these are fertilizer sources having high concentrations of nutrients. If it is a fertilizer, there should be certain high level of nutrient content. Therefore, the detection limits will also be not difficult to deal with as in the soils. So I think it is doable, and it is a need to have these type of regional test kits, especially when it comes to fertilizer production. There are certain market opportunities as well, like sell it outside the country, especially those that does not have microorganisms. There's nothing limiting the fertilizer trade across the countries as far as I know. So if we can have some test kits, it will be very beneficial to the farmers as well.
Thank you very much, Warshi. Anyone else would like to share their opinion? If not, I would like to share mine based on an experience I had while with the soil testing kits. We tried to do exactly this thing, so to get to a regional harmonized soil testing kit. And we asked countries to tell us, how do your soil testing kit works? But we faced something that there is like an economic value associated to the kits. And countries did not want to share the formulation of their reagents. And I feel that this is something we will also face with fertilizer test kits. So eventually, my idea just came to me now, is that we can develop something sort of ex novo or some sort of guidelines to then propose to countries for inclusions in whatever they already developed, and get to the harmonization of the kits through this way somehow, because I don't think they will share the composition of their reagents based on my experience. Warshi, I see you want to talk. Yes.
Yeah, to add a little bit to what you mentioned about harmonizing the soil test kits, I think, of course, there's this the trust and willingness to share information is, of course, always a barrier in technology sharing and transfer. Another reason for failure of soil test kits in this region and in many parts of the world is like the stakeholder group we are targeting mostly. So soil test kits, we are targeting the farmers, the main users, even the agriculture officer or extension officer do the testing on behalf of them. We are targeting the farmers. The problem that we saw in Sri Lanka, because we did a study with FAO regarding the use of soil test kits in the country. And one thing we found was why farmers are not willing to get the test done using soil test kit is because after they get it done and they got a report, then what to do? Because you get a report saying, okay, you have this many levels of nutrients and you don't have to apply phosphorus, only MOP and urea. But when they go to the market, there's no straight fertilizers. There are only mixtures. So the farmers are not encouraged to purchase, do the soil test kit because they think it is not something useful for them at the end, because there's nothing they can do after getting the report. I'm not generalizing this. This is the case with the vegetable farmers in the upcountry of Sri Lanka, where the fertilizer market is mainly run through the private sector, not with the paddy farmers. Okay, so that should be noted. We have very distinct differences in the farmer behaviors and decision making when it comes to rice-based and vegetable-based cropping systems. But when we talk about these fertilizer test kits, my idea would be the fertilizer test kit can be used by either large scale growers who has the potential to spend and have a willingness to get it done, and also maybe some producers who wanted to regularly monitor the quality of their produce. So if we are thinking in that sense, for them having a test kit would be very easy. Otherwise, they have to submit the sample to a laboratory and wait for a long time to get the analysis done. So at least to understand whether the production quality is consistent or get some idea for such a thing, the test kit would be very much useful for them. So that's why I think if we think about the stakeholder groups, the need of using the fertilizer test kit would be much higher, the use might be higher than the soil test kit among these stakeholder groups. So if there's a demand, then the companies would be willing to invest on producing something, right? So I think in that sense, the fertilizer test kit we can think about it at regional level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see there are still many questions in the question and answer box, but also in the chat. I'm kindly asking the panelists to help addressing them. And now again, for time's sake, I would like to give the floor to Dr. Karim Shabazi. Fortunately, we managed to get you. Let me share my screen with your presentation. It's a PDF, so this is the best I can do with my IT skills, sorry. But I hope you can all see it.
Yeah, I think is it okay? Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Lucrezia. Sorry for the problem that we faced to it. You run very fast. I think a little more slowly. And the first, I want to start with the beginning. Yeah. I'm going to talk about, first of all, I should say good morning. I don't know, good evening or good afternoon, yeah, for all of our friends and our colleagues. And here is the morning now, yeah. I'm going to talk about the soil and fertilizer assessment laboratory in Iran, but regarding your topics, topics of the meetings, I will focus on fertilizer assessment laboratory in Iran. This is very important case. Please, next, Lucrezia. As you may know, the Department of Laboratories of SWRI, the Soil and Water Research Institute, has been established in 1956, and governmental soil plant laboratories have been developed during 6 decades. And at this time, we have 31 government laboratories. And that means that we have at least one laboratory in each province. And the law of permission for establishing private and plant labs passed in the parliament in 1992. So at this time we have more than 160 private labs in our country, and 160 private laboratory and 30 government laboratories make our soil and water laboratories, networks laboratories in Iran. Next, please. We have many functions and responsibility in our departments and also other laboratories. The main function is soil, plant, water, and fertilizer analysis. That you can see the parameters that we can analyze this, in our laboratories. Soil chemical analysis, soil physical analysis, soil biological analysis. It is the kind of analysis down in soil biology department is different our department. And also fertilizer analysis. Many kind of fertilizer are analyzing in our laboratory. For example, measuring nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium in the form of total available soluble and micronutrient soluble chelates total, and also beneficial elements and biostimulants we are analyzing in our laboratory, and also plant analyzing and water analyzing have been done in our laboratories. Go ahead, please, Lucrezia. Next one. What is our responsibility? The main responsibility is very important. Is research on development, expansion, and advancement, and also implementation and revising of soil, plant, water, and fertilizer analyzing. We can harmonize the methods in our country, so all of laboratories use the same methods for analyzing these different samples. And we publish these methods. You can see some selected publication about water, soil, and plant analysis in this presentation. The last one is method of soil analysis, or sampling and chemical and physical methods that will be published in November. And we have another publication for methods, harmonization of methods. So next one, please. If I focus on fertilizer analyzing methods, we have many publications for fertilizer analyzing. You can see some of them in this slides. For example, for the straight fertilizer, mixed fertilizer, potassium, nitrogen, phosphorus fertilizer, organic, or other fertilizer like compost, soil conditioner, mulch, and manure. That we publish in the few past years, and also the book of the textbook of method of fertilizer analysis that we published 2018. That cover all of the methods that we need to use for analyzing fertilizer. Next one, please. Our function is conducted workshop and training courses for public and private laboratories because we need to share our knowledge and experience with all of laboratories. Some of our workshop in our laboratories, for example, for instrumental training or laboratory safety, or establishing the implementation of ISO 17025. You may know that we implement this ISO in our laboratories, and also quality control, quality assurance. That is very important in analyzing the soil, water, and plants, especially fertilizer analysis. Next one, please. In the case of fertilizer, we usually have one workshop every year. You can see some of them here. For example, we have another workshop for fertilizer analysis. It is 9th workshop. It's going to be held on November. Next week, we started next week. It is very important. Also, we have individual lab staffs for training in our labs. You can see here at this time we are hosting 2 researchers from Uzbekistan that you see the picture here. That they are learning the different methods of fertilizer analysis in our labs. We can share all this knowledge with other laboratories if you needed to perform the workshop in the case of region, Asian or Pacific region. The next one, please. I put some program of this workshop that you see. This workshop is in the case of conducted in the case of theoretical and practical in the labs, and the details of program every day you can see here that we will held in the next week. the participants in our workshop, our lab staff, technical experts of fertilizer producers, because it is very important, this expert know how we analyze the fertilizer, and also R&D staffs of fertilizer producer. And everybody that interested to learn how to analyze the fertilizer. In these few years, totally we have done more than 5,000 hour training. Yeah, you can go ahead, Lucrezia. Also, in SWRI, we select some laboratories as a partner. These laboratories must be pass a few steps to get this position. For example, the first step pass these laboratories must pass training course, as I said in the previous slides, and get a certificate for training. And in step 2, they should participate in the proficiency tests that we run every year. And then we will visit and check the status of these laboratories and the physical situation and instrumental capability of these laboratories. And then they can enter the trial steps and finally get the SWR partner. You can see the network of fertilizer analysis laboratory networks in our country that I think there are 21 laboratories can make these networks and analyzing all of the fertilizer. Next one, please. According to soil conservation law, SWRI is responsible for registration and quality control of all produced, imported, exported, and distributed fertilizer material. For example, and the mean of fertilizer materials are the fertilizer, soil conditioner, plant biostimulant, and growing medias. All of fertilizer producer or imported distributors and exporters must give one samples to the laboratories or to the fertilizer registration and quality control office in SWRI. And these samples must be analyzed and match the analyzed results to the claim of producer or importer, and then they get a registration code and can distribute their products and sold their products for farmers. And also during the application of this fertilizer, inspectors must collect the samples from storage of factory or factory production line, and set these fertilizer samples to SWRI quality control and fertilizer registration control office to analyze this. If they fail, the results prove the label or claim the production, there is no problem. But if there are some miss in the results or the amount of nutrient or contaminants in the fertilizer, the producer or importer or the distributor must collect all of the products from the store or storage, and they will be fined, and the registration office will cancel the registration code, and there is a law concern, and they will find because of this misproduction. Yeah, the next one. You may know we run the quality control program every year for all the private and public laboratories. We send soil samples and the plant samples, and also fertilizer samples for the laboratories that are analyzing fertilizer. So we prepared these samples, and in the methods that on instruction that we prepare for the preparation, SOP preparation for proficiency test samples, and then coding them and send them to laboratory and collect the results and analyze the results, and then see how the quality of these laboratories. The next one, please. The parameters that we control in this quality control program, the soil parameters and plant parameters and fertilizer parameters, it is done by what parameters the proficiency test should be done. For example, nitrogen, the different form of nitrogen, ammonium or nitrate, phosphorus available or total, and also, for example, iron, is it chelate or water soluble, or it is salty iron, and also biostimulant. It is very important to measuring in quality control heavy metals like arsenic, lead and cadmium. The next one. You can see one of our publication about quality control program and how we say a quality of laboratories. For example, you see the last diagram. You can see the result of one lab one for fertilizer analysis. You can see the two parameters measuring arsenic and the sodium is critical, and the other parameters is satisfied. And we mentioned this laboratory to prove their action and prove their analysis and solve these problems. Yeah, next one, please. And also because the fertilizer is very complex sometimes, and we have to research on and develop some new methods for analyzing this fertilizer. So we have some project to develop or modify the methods of analyzing fertilizer. You can see some more publication. We have one project on implementation and modification of methods for determination of biostimulants. It's a very important component that we see in our fertilizer and growing more every year. For example, amino acid, stearax, fulvic acid, humic acid, lignosulfonate, and non-fertilizer we can see in few years. And we publish them and then harmonize in our country. You can see the last publication introducing and modified method for quantitative determination of humic acid, because the humic acid determination is very difficult and very challenging. There are many challenging to determine these parameters of fertilizer or biostimulant. Yeah, next one, please. We are responsible in developing national standards. During the few past years, we developed more than 40 national standards for fertilizer in the case of specification and method of analysis. And also we participate in international standard development and in some international development, in international standards, you can see our laboratory's name that participates in testing the methods, and you can see the name in these standards, the name of our department in these standards. The next one. We are also used the soil and water laboratories management system that all of the fertilizer laboratory, analysis laboratory should be used this system to share the results and submit the result in this system, and we see online the result of all of fertilizer that we send or other producer sent to this laboratory, and we get the result from this laboratory. So the next one, please. Our priority, I can say that developing of low-cost, rapid, reliable, and accurate methods, it's very important. As I said before, some of these methods are very expensive and time-consuming, and it is not capable for the case of farmers. We can use the expensive methods for producer because it is not a concern for the producer because they are rich and they can pay for this analysis. And we need, in that case, very accurate results because according to this result, we can cancel the registration. You can see that the laboratory is the main point of the quality control and registration of fertilizer in our country. It's very fundamental and crucial role in the case of fertilizer quality control. And the result of this laboratory, it can cancel or prove the quality of the fertilizer and may have a result in the case of economical results or problem for producer or distributor. And also another of the priorities is demonstrate new technology for soil and plant and fertilizer analysis. If it possible, we use the methods that with low effective side effect in environmental, because most of these methods have side effects in environmental, and we use very poisonous chemicals in this method. It's very important that we use methods that's environmental friendly for quality control of fertilizer or analyzing soil and plant. It is very important. Practicing in international regions, if you decided to implement regions for your region, we are available to help this case, and we are a good experience in this case. Yeah. Improve the current system to be able to handling national proficiency tests, because the proficiency test is not included in our system. The next one, please, Lucrezia. If final message is we can play critical roles in non-effectively and efficiently to share our experience. Our good experience in analyzing fertilizer and the harmonization of methods. And we are going to start the research and establish the fast and low-cost methods for the fertilizer analyzing. Or standardize the lab and methods globally or regionally. We can good experience in this case and increase corresponding laboratory proficiency toward harmonization of soil and plant and also fertilizer data. And quality control and proficiency tests also change our knowledge and experience with our other laboratory in our regions. That's also Lucrezia. Sorry for some problem in sharing our screen. Yeah, it's our colleagues that working our labs. Yeah. So if any question, I'm available. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karim. And indeed, I regret that you face some technical issues, but unfortunately, that's what happens sometimes when we work online, no? So apologize everybody and to you especially for that. So I think we have time just for one question because we are running a few minutes late. There is a question actually for you in the question and answer box. How do you analyze nitrate content?
Actually, we digest. We have if we are going to analyze total nitrogen, we digest and use the Kegel techniques for measuring the total nitrogen. We have a standard methods for the measuring the total nitrogen. Sometimes we need to measure nitrate and ammonium separately, and we use different methods, a standard method. For measuring nitrate, for example, for ammonium nitrate fertilizer, we should test, because the specification of this fertilizer, we should measure the nitrate and ammonium separately, and we use a standard method. So if we are going to measure the total nitrogen, we digest the samples after preparation, and use the Kegel techniques for measuring nitrogen. Yeah.
Thank you very much. In order to close the webinar, let me ask to you first, but then to all panelists a question. When to prefer the use of test kits to laboratory analysis?
I don't prefer to use the test kit in laboratory, yeah, because we have to produce the accurate results, because all of the inspectors judge the quality of fertilizer, and make the resulting find the producer. It is very important to produce the accurate results. And test kits just we can use for to produce quality, not quantity results. And it is we can apply these kits for the store or for farmers. It is very useful in this regards, because they don't need accurate results. They want know the results, quality of the quality of fertilizer. So I mean that we just related to the situation. In some cases, we can use test kits, and some cases when we need very accurate results, we shoot down in the laboratory. Kits not necessary for laboratory. It's a very good instrument for the field or store fertilizer stores.
Thank you very much. What about your opinion, Dr. Warshi?
Sorry, Lucretia.
When to prefer the use of test kits to laboratory analysis?
Yeah, I saw the question in the chat as well. So I think using in the lab, it will be easy. It will be easy to use, and one limitation for the laboratory staff regarding chemicals and these things can be minimized, and also we can have very well focused training programs to use the test kits and generate reliable results if we are targeting to release these to the laboratories. I agree on that. At the same time, I think there would be certain groups who are interested in using these test kits. For example, commercial scale farmers or those who are producing crops for the export market, who have the potential to spend and also have the necessary basic knowledge and skills to use a test kit. For such groups also, I think the kits should be available, because especially now we are talking about using these kits for analyzing locally produced fertilizers, right? So there's a huge competition in the market. There are many products. So there should be some tools available for the growers to decide on which nutrient sources they should purchase. So for this decision making, if there's a farmer who is willing to do so and has the potential and the necessary basic knowledge, having kits made available for them is also useful. Otherwise, if you think about like the resource poor farmers, which in certain countries would be the majority, or in Sri Lanka, for example, if we are targeting the rice-based cropping systems and that the farmers involved in that group, then of course the laboratories would be the place where the test kits can be used. Yeah, especially like I would say, if there's quality monitoring officers for them for quick decision making, or even for the fertilizer producers, as I mentioned previously, to check whether they are producing the quality is consistent. For these type of decision making, I think a test kit is good enough. As I think the previous presenter also mentioned, the results we generate using the test kits are mostly qualitative, not very quantitative. So for basic decision making, this is good enough. But if you are expecting to generate a report with exact numbers in it, I think we still have to rely on a certain laboratory measurements. In that case, those things have to be done by laboratory. So there's pros and cons. For when there's precision needed, then test kits are not suitable to be used if you need high precision. But if it is for general decision making, then it's good enough. So for monitoring purposes, for producers, as well as for decision making by commercial scale growers, the test kits would be better, I think.
Thank you very much. What about you, Ms. Ladiani? If you can talk, because I know you're busy, or Linka or Ibrahim. Vinisa, any reflection on this? I see Ms. Ladiani is taking the floor.
Oh yeah, pardon me, because I'm going back to over, yeah, on the way to over. So the signal is going up and down. Sorry, I cannot catch that. Could you repeat that question?
Yes, sure. When to prefer the use of test kits to laboratory analysis?
Pardon?
When to prefer the use of test kits to laboratory analysis?
Oh, when to prefer, yeah. Actually, we are talking about the farmer and also the extension worker. If they are the position is far away from our office or laboratory, they are prefer using the test kit, and they are actively asking for the free, or if they have the budget, they go directly to the co-op. So it means test kit is they already have in their mind that test kit is one way to help the farmer to get the quality fertilizer. Okay, sorry if it is not close to your question.
Thank you very much. Don't worry, we understand your struggle also with the signal. Vinisa, over to you before we close. What do you think?
Thank you, Lucrecia. Very, very fast. I agree with Warshit and Dania. Of course, these kits are meant to be used more in the laboratory than in the field. But still, and I understand that there is a lot to talk about before the harmonization. But still, if we could provide the farmers with this very interesting and useful tool, it would empower them to better use fertilizers, and certainly this could be more qualitative, and this could be a first insight to farmers on the quality of fertilizers, even before using them or before laboratory analysis. So congratulations, because I think this is a very important topic, and I think I know it's difficult, but it would be a good challenge to provide farmers with this very important tool. Thank you, Lucrecia.
Thank you very much, and thanks for all participants for having stayed with us so long. Sorry, we are running almost 15 minutes late. I'm now proceeding with the closure of the webinar. Well, first of all, by thanking you all participants, all speakers, all moderators for your valuable interventions. As I said at the beginning of this webinar, this is actually the first of a series of 2 webinars on the topic of fertilizers. The next one has a date to be confirmed, but most likely take place towards the end of November or in December, where we will talk about locally produced fertilizer in more depth, looking into effective microorganisms and biofertilizers as well, but much more. Again, I would like to thank you all for being with us today. I hope to see you at the next webinar on the topic, but also on the next webinar of the series on the Knowledge Hub on sustainable soil and land management for the Asian region. All presentations, as well as the video recording of this webinar, will be made available online, and I will send them to you also by email. So again, thank you very much, and I wish you all a very good day. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.